Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the single greatest times of the year. Roger Goodell slipped his behind down my chimney to stockpile presents under my tree, but instead of Christmas gifts, they're free agency signings. That's why 2 weeks ago, the NFL free agency period kicked off. Trades are allowed to happen, free agency signings are allowed to happen, and I am a happy little boy on Christmas. And so we're going to tell you everything that's happened over the past week or so. All these moves that have been covered, our favorites of the bunch, and which ones may turn out well, I guess. But we'll see. We'll be back in just a few short minutes to get into some of the offensive ones, but don't go anywhere because the Combine starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
And we are back, and we are here to talk about, like I mentioned, some offensive signings over free agency, and the majority of which are going to be running back signings. The running backs went absolutely crazy. The market was ridiculous. Just as Deshaun Watson had absolutely given a surge to the quarterback market a few years back, with that insane $225 million mega deal, fully guaranteed, the Browns somehow scraped together to pay him, which was absurd. I don't know why they would ever do that. This year, we've seen some running backs get that kind of treatment. Not $225 million, but for their case, some good treatment. But before we dive into the running backs, there are a few quarterbacks that we need to touch on. Need to clear the air, and make sure everyone knows. Starting with actually, let me introduce you first. I haven't even introduced him yet. Wow. We have Matthew and Noah Kemper here. We're some big football fans out here. We're all, we're going to start off by laughing in the face of one of our studio directors, Tyler Brownrigg, because Kirk Cousins is gone. He is out of there. You'll never see him again. He's with the Atlanta Falcons on a 4-year crazy high amount of pay. But let's dive into it. I believe that's Noah Kemper. What do you have to say about this deal?
Okay, yes, the money was outlandish. He took a lot of money from the Falcons, but Big Kirko Cousins is by no means washed. By no means, which it annoys me how many people think that. A lot of Vikings fans either love or hate Kirk. And honestly, I love Kirk. I'm not a Vikings fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. I got my Juju jersey on. I love Kirk, all right? If you look at his he had 18 passing yards, 18 passing touchdowns, and I think he led the league in passing yards when he went down against the Packers in Week 8, I believe. He was on track. Yeah. His numbers were on track to lead most quarterbacks in those stats. He was good, and people don't see that. Look at his weapons. Yeah. You got Drake London. You got Kyle Pitts, who I hope to God he actually
uses. Don't forget about Darnell Mooney.
My apologies. Darnell Mooney. A.K.A. Justin Jefferson 2.0. And tight end Felipe Franks.
Oh, you can't forget about tight end Felipe Franks. Tim Tebow 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you can't forget about the fact, though, that Kyle, when Kirk Cousins got to Atlanta, he asked Kyle Pitts, hey, what do it take to get that jersey number, that number 8? And Kyle Pitts said, just throw me the ball. And Kirk said, I'll take 18. Thank you. But I think we do need to clear the air a little bit on something that was just said. Noah Kemper has a Juju Smith-Dolphins jersey because he was absolutely certain that a year ago Juju was going to be a Dolphin. And unfortunately for him and all Miami fans, he was not.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. That's rough.
But, all right, we have one other, I should say multiple other moves that happened that were very, very big. We agreed across the board, A-pluses on the signings. Fantastic. And this is going to be in Pittsburgh, who made some steezy moves. And, we want to detail it for us, Mr. Matthew?
Yeah, no. The Steelers have had a really good offseason. Like, it's crazy. They got Russell Wilson for the vet minimum, which my Broncos have to pay him $39 million this season. So he's still getting a bag, and the Steelers signed him for $1 million. It doesn't matter to Russ. He's still making $40 million.
Yep.
It's insane. And honestly, I still think it's a good signing because as much as people want to clown on Russ, trust me, I love clowning on Russ.
Yeah.
But Russ had a good season. At one point,
did
he
have a-
was
he did have a good
beating
season.
Mahomes in like statistical. Like he had
Yeah.
a good season. I just think for the Steelers, it just depends what type of Russ they get.
Yeah.
You know, I think when he came to Denver, he had a lot of expectations to be the savior, and I think Russ's problem is he loves his own image way too much. You know, he gets the office, he gets his own staff. I think his biggest, op is him. So, but no, I still think it's a good signing. I give it an A+.
Hey, you want a piece of this sandwich? It is my signature sandwich.
It's
But
spicy.
be careful though.
It's spicy.
Oh Lord.
And then they
It's
go
so
and get
terrible.
Justin Fields. You
Yeah,
know, which
in
for
A
us-
conditional 6th-round pick. Yeah.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Steelers were gonna grab him. Like once they got, I mean, who did? But like I love the move. You know, they can train Fields under Russ and finally develop him. Hopefully, because he's such a good runner.
I love Justin Fields. I think he's great. But here's the thing. With Fields, this is the question I wanted to ask. The conditional 6th-round pick that was traded for Fields becomes a 4th if he plays 51% of his snaps. Do you think he does?
No,
No?
I don't.
Really?
I don't. I think Russ is going to be the starter for most of the season.
Okay.
Unless something really bad happens. Like if
Yeah.
we see like 2022
Horrible injury?
season, like no. It's
But-
yeah.
All right, so the last signing we're going to touch on, well, there's a couple others. I'll briefly mention Sam Darnold, who went to the Vikings, presumably to be a bridge quarterback for their rookie they draft this year. J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold said, Gardner Minshew got a bag,
Yeah.
which I'm very surprised by. Gardner Minshew got paid for 2 years, $25 million, and this is coming off a year in which Anthony Richardson had been injured like week 4 or 5 of the season. Minshew has to come in, and he still only puts up 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions
Yeah.
through 13 games.
Yeah.
It's not good play. He showed somewhat of a developed ball control aspect of his game, which I think a lot of people didn't really visualize when they watch him play. Like he kind of stinks. But they paid him for 2 years, $25 million. So he's presumably going to be their starter. But I think that begs the question, they didn't go out and get anybody else. Like Tannehill's still sitting there. I know he's not QB1 by any means, but I think he's better than Minshew is right now. And with him on the board, with the moves that they passed up on, I could see this as potentially he is a bridge for a mid quarterback. Not a mid like bad quarterback, but
Yeah.
like a mid first-round quarterback.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I could see it happening. Potentially a Bo Nix, Michael Penix, but who knows. But moving on to running backs, because this is where the market truly kind of blossomed out.
Oh my gosh.
Insane.
It was
Everything
wild.
happened quick. I'm sorry. Actually, let me mention one more thing. 4 quarterbacks. There were 4 trades that happened. Mac Jones gets sent to the Jaguars.
I love it.
Kenny Pickett gets sent to the Eagles. Desmond Ridder gets sent to the Cardinals, and Sam Howell gets sent to the Seahawks. Wouldn't you know it? A lot of crazy starter and backup QB moves out of nowhere, all traded for bags of chips, pretty
yeah.
much. But
I feel like you never see that.
never.
yeah.
Never anything like this. This has been the craziest offseason in the past decade.
For sure.
But moving into running backs, I briefly wanted to touch up on that because they deserve some of their flowers,
yeah.
I guess. But 4 running backs. Starting off, we had Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs gets sent to the Green Bay Packers. In a resulting move, Aaron Jones hits free agency, which we will talk about in a little bit. But Josh Jacobs gets sent to Green Bay on a 4-year, $48 million deal. Last year, he put up 1,101 total yards, only 6 touchdowns, and only 3.5 yards per carry. Getting paid $12 million a year off 3.5 yards per carry last year, I don't think is quite exquisite. Like, not in the least. I think not that they could have done better, but the Packers had more options. And to be completely honest, as much as I love Josh Jacobs, I think they were better off keeping Aaron Jones. Like, do I think it's a horrible signing, though? No. I think he's a small tier below Aaron Jones. Like, I'd give it like a B- at best. But it's just, it was strange to see. It was so weird because, Aaron Jones was almost considered a cap casualty, and then he gets cut for someone who costs more than him.
Yeah.
So it's
that-
just
I don't get it.
very, very shocking. But let's talk about another massive one that played out, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Going to a divisional rival is, I think that's crazy. I thought he was going to leave New York, but I didn't think the Eagles.
No.
I really didn't. Yeah.
I didn't either.
But I honestly don't really like the contract.
I don't either.
Yeah, because it's
so pricey.
It's very pricey. I think
very
it's like
37
yeah,
over
it's
3?
37. Yeah.
37 over 3.
For someone who has a really bad track record with the injuries, I just can't really justify that much. Like it doesn't make sense that he's making more than Derrick Henry.
No.
Not at all. But Saquon isn't a bad running back. I definitely think he is an improvement. I think Hurts is going to have a really fun time with him in the backfield.
Yeah.
But I give it like a C.
Yeah.
You know, overall, it's whatever.
And then moving forward from the Josh Jacobs move, Aaron Jones gets cut, and he winds up signing with Minnesota, right? Mm-hmm. What do you got?
I mean, Packers, what are you doing? You got Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones. No.
A.J. Dillon's back. I love A.J. Dillon's
Dillon's
I like A.J. Dillon. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, great pickup for Minnesota. I feel like they're starting to fall off a little bit after the losing Kirk, you losing Dalvin before that. So
Yeah.
So getting him back, I like that move. I believe it was 1 year. Even so, a great move picking him up, very cheap. I'd give it an A-. I really would.
That's very fair.
They need to fill that void.
I don't want to say it's super duper cheap. I think he got like 7 or 8 from it.
I think it's 7
8
million,
million, which still is relatively cheap, but in a running back market that's not crazy expensive in my opinion. I do think it was a little up there, but not Josh Jacobs money.
No.
12 million a year.
No.
So I also think Aaron Jones just wanted a chance to punch Green Bay in the mouth one time before going.
Good for him, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Exactly. I completely agree. The next move that I want to talk about is one that I think is going to turn a lot of heads next year. Joe Mixon gets traded to the Houston Texans to replace Devin Singletary, which Joe Mixon is teetering the scale down, man. Like Joe Mixon is the way better of the two in my opinion. I don't hate on Devin Singletary. I think he was great. But Joe Mixon's different. And they traded a 7th round pick for him, pick 224 this year. Like Mixon, I didn't even write any stats down. All I wrote down right here is talk about how much of a monster he is.
Because he is.
On this new offense, paired with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and giving C.J. Stroud another weapon, because so many of Mixon's yards come off receptions. Yeah. He is one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. So I think it's a great move. But moving forward past this, let's move into Derrick Henry.
Dude, I love the Derrick Henry signing. I mean,
I have a hot take.
Yeah.
I will tell you the hot take in a second.
Because like the Derrick Henry signing, Derrick Henry has been one of the best running backs in the league for a long, long time. I mean, that stiff arm against Jacksonville, like I watched that at least, it's just so good. But you add Derrick Henry to one of the best rushing teams in the league. I mean, I think it's a good deal.
I will agree
and
with
it's cheap.
I will. I don't know about cheap, but
2 years.
I will agree that he is on a very good rushing team, but that's where my hot take comes in. I think Derrick Henry goes to Baltimore and his career dies. Really? I think he walks into Baltimore, Lamar takes half the rushing yards, and Derrick Henry, they start questioning his age. They start questioning his lack of production in the best offense in the league. They were, but now he goes to a running quarterback situation. He was playing with Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill, and nothing happened. But I want to throw one more to Noah Kemper before we give our final grades for the last 3 and a little rapid fire. I want you to talk about Tony Pollard for a second.
So, okay, I believe it was 3 years, just over $21 million.
Yep.
A bit pricey.
A bit pricey. Cheaper than his last contract, but still a bit pricey.
Obviously, Tony Pollard, look, he's a good back. He's a decent back. He's no Derrick Henry.
No,
he's no Derrick. No one will ever make that comparison. I don't want to hear a single person saying that.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do think they found a serviceable backup.
Yes.
And before we get out of here, just to cover the last of the moves, we had DeAndre Swift head to Chicago, Gus Edwards head to the Chargers, Devin Singletary to the Giants, Alexander Mattison to Vegas, Antonio Gibson to New England, Austin Eckler to Washington, and Zach Moss to Cincinnati. So if you can't already tell, a lot of moves happened. But before we close out of this, I just want to point out, we've been here about 12, 13 minutes or so, and we've only covered quarterbacks and running backs. Like, there's a lot more free agency to cover, so don't go anywhere because we'll be covering the rest of the offensive signings right after this break. Jack, buddy, why are you here?
I don't really understand why I'm here. I got called a delusional fan. I just don't understand why I'm delusional if I think Kirk Cousins had the best mustache in the league.
Well, Jack, buddy, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I don't think anybody looks cool in handlebars.
But they're back, man. They're back.
They're not. They're not. Sometimes you just got to face the hard truth. It's right there in front of you. All these people, they're calling you delusional, but sometimes you got to worry about, am I projecting? Is it me? And in this
Let me
case,
tell you something, bud. It could never be me. Anything I say is factual and truth, and that's why the Vikings are going 16-1 this year.
organization, you have to look at your roster and say, I've had Kirko Thuggins for 6 years. Maybe it's time to move on.
There is no moving on from Perk Thuggins and Justin Jefferson.
Do you think that maybe this all started just because of a little disappointment?
Nothing has started. This is how I live, and I am not delusional. I'm a prophet.
And we are back, and we are talking once again free agency, couldn't you guess? But this time with me is John Warner and Jared Fox, and instead of talking quarterbacks and running backs, we're going to be talking wide receivers and offensive linemen. They gave us the option to talk about tight end signings, but who really cares? So we're moving forward. So we're going to dive right in, because as we realized last segment, there's way less time than we thought there was in this world, so we got to make good time of it, you know. So starting off with these receiver signings, I'm not even going to be talking about a signing. I'm talking about a move that was made that I think may be the best move of the entire offseason, and that was Keenan Allen getting traded to the Chicago Bears for a fourth round pick, I'm sorry.
It's a big difference.
in my head, I was like, which one is it? And I was like, let me just take a shot in the dark. A fourth round pick sent for Keenan Allen, who was the wide receiver 1 in Los Angeles last year, arguably a top 10 receiver at times. He's phenomenal. And now you pair him with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and you give whoever this rookie is coming into Chicago, most likely Caleb Williams, but we don't know that for sure yet. I don't want to dig my own grave now and say it's going to be Caleb, and then it turns out to be Jaden Daniels. So I'm not going to say it now. But you give this is the best room that a rookie is going to be placed in probably half a century. I can't remember the last time a rookie was plucked out and dropped day one into an offense as good as, well, on paper, good as this one.
I agree.
Let's just hope on the field it plays out the same way. Allen is just a terrific player, but we're going to move forward.
Before we do that, I have a couple takeaways on this trade. One, you say that, but never underestimate the ability of the Chicago Bears to absolutely ruin a quarterback's life. And two, concerning the Chargers, I think this move confirms more than anything that they just hate Justin Herbert. They got rid of both of his receivers while a new head coach is coming in.
Hey, I put out a little trade on TikTok. I thought it might be good. I got yelled at a lot for it, but the Chargers are clearing house, man. They're clearing house.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, Anyways, moving forward, there's one more trade that we need to get into before we move on. And actually, let me briefly mention one. Jerry Jeudy got sent to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for, what, a third?
No, I think it was like a sixth.
A sixth?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Am I supposed to care about Jerry Jeudy, though, to be
Yeah,
honest?
literally.
do I
Honestly,
Why are we even talking
no,
about this?
I just think it's pretty funny that the Browns have gotten all of their receivers for a third, a seventh, and a sixth, and Elijah Moore was the most expensive. But anyways, the next trade we have to talk about, Deontay Johnson gets sent to the Carolina Panthers. Jared Fox, that must, am I putting, am I branding your back right now with a big L?
Not at all, bro. Here's the thing, Deontay Johnson, yes, on paper it looks bad for the Steelers. Deontay Johnson is obviously the trade was Deontay Johnson and a 7th round pick for Dante Jackson, the corner from Carolina, and a 6th round pick, so just a late pick swap, who cares. But Deontay Johnson is on the last year, he's entering the last year of his contract. He made it very obvious he does not want to play in Pittsburgh anymore, so he wasn't going to re-sign anyway. So it's really just cutting the slack before we just lose him for nothing, and we get some cornerback depth in return. So
with Dante Jackson accent?
Yeah, Dante Jackson, obviously, like I said, it's not an equal amount of talent, but he fills a position that we were really in big need of, and it's just a Band-Aid. He's 28, I get it, but the guy ran a 4.3 40. He's fast, he can be that Band-Aid. But I think that Deontay Johnson instantly steps in as Bryce Young's wide receiver 1. Like Adam Thielen,
I
sayonara.
agree.
Yeah, sayonara.
Adam Thielen's not bad. He had a pretty decent first year in Carolina last year.
He's
Stats
34, bro.
Stats wise,
Like,
he's done.
But
He's done.
this is the other thing I want to mention here, and I need you to cover this, John Warner, because it's your team. But the most diabolical move of the century took place, and who let this happen? The Chiefs give Pat Mahomes one of the only people that ran a faster 40 time than Tyreek Hill. This is too dangerous. He can't keep getting away with it. Why? So Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, Antonio Brown's less CTE cousin is now playing for the Chiefs. John Warner, what do you got to say about this thing, man? How likely is it that this team can go back to the Super Bowl with this?
I mean, if you're the Chiefs, what better of a move could you have possibly made than signing Hollywood Brown? I do think, like you mentioned, like in the speed element compared to Tyreek Hill, this is the replacement they were looking for. They didn't really have it the last 2 years. They tried it with Valdez-Scantling and Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice is a nice player, but he's no Tyreek Hill. So
No.
I think having Hollywood Brown finally gives Patrick Mahomes the speed element back of their offense, and we all know what Andy Reid is capable of. I think they'll finally be able to unlock their true potential. But the caveat with Hollywood Brown is that he's been injured a lot. He hasn't played a full season since 2020. And last year he was really held back. He had a career low in yards. He was, I think, around 570 or so yards. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. But if he can, look out for the Chiefs because they're going to be.
And before we go any further, I wanted to ask the question. The Chiefs have pick 32 in this year's first round of the draft. And this is one of the deepest receiver rooms we've seen in quite a while. Is there a chance they go receiver at 32 and take someone like Xavier Worthy, who ran a 4.21 at the Combine?
No shot. Why would they go after a speedster when they just signed one?
Because they want to give Mahomes more weapons.
I guess, but like it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Mr. Jared Fox, I'm throwing one to you that is one of the most lucrative receiver deals of the offseason, which is kind of surprising. Why in the world did Calvin Ridley get paid so much money to play with DeAndre Hopkins?
So he had the betting odds to go to the Titans.
He had the betting odds to go to the Titans, yeah. So did Shohei Ohtani.
Some surprise gambler pulled out $450,000 from a Vegas casino. Who could it be?
I actually think that it's like from the wide receivers.
Calvin Ridley sneaking around like Pink Panther in Vegas with a bag of money.
I think it's the biggest wide receiver news that we've got this free agency. I think that
Keenan Allen.
No, absolutely not.
What?
I think it's Calvin Ridley because Keenan Allen's 33. Calvin Ridley's going to be on the Titans for the next 4 years. Keenan Allen's going to be out of the NFL in 4 years, right? Calvin Ridley just came off a 1,000-yard season. People really just seem to forget that.
Yeah, but
Calvin Ridley is now joining an offense that has a brand new head coach, and people are scared because Mike Vrabel left. That's scary. You have a quarterback that's coming into his sophomore year who didn't look great last year, but he showed some flashes. And they brought in a head coach, Brian Callahan, who, where was he in 2013, 2015-ish? He was on the Denver Broncos, their offensive assistant, when they had one of the best offenses of all time. Peyton Manning shattered records for passing touchdowns. Now, where was he the past couple years? He was in Cincinnati on the Bengals. And what did the Bengals do? They had a great trio of wide receivers. And I think that Calvin Ridley is going to instantly come in and play really well.
Here's the thing. When I'm older, if I ever have a little mini Tyler sitting at a dinner table and he's like, Dad, tell me about Calvin Ridley, I'm going to be like, look here, never mention that name again in my house. Never. Calvin Ridley stinks.
You're not teaching your kid ball. You're not teaching your kid ball.
What are you talking about? Not teaching him ball.
This
I'm
guy
have
has
him watch Tavon Austin kick return highlights.
Tavon. You can't even say his name right. It's Tavon.
I don't want to hear it. I'm moving on. It's my show. I'm moving on. We're talking about Mike Williams, who ends up going to the New York Jets on a 1-year, I believe, $8 million deal. And he's going to be paired up with Garrett Wilson in, I am going to say it, I think the New York Jets, with the team that they put together, are a potential Super Bowl contender.
We heard this last year, bro.
Yeah, we did, but then Aaron Rodgers decided to up and die on the 4th play of the season. I think this year, they bring in Tyron Smith, they bring in Morgan Moses, they bring in John Simpson, and now Mike Williams and Javon Kinlaw, all these big names on all 1-year deals, by the way, except for John Simpson, who's on it too. This team looks very, very good. Mike Williams, I think, is a good signing. I don't think it's great given his injury history. If you can keep him healthy, great. But at least you give Garrett Wilson some help in the receiver room because he had Jason Brownlee and Xavier Gibson as his wide receiver 2 and 3. Like, that's really, really, really bad. That's like taking 2 Walmart employees and putting them next to John Cena in a WWE arena. Like, they're not going to do anything. Come on, man. Anyways, moving forward. we have. This is actually an interesting one. I didn't think you were going to talk about it, but you picked it. Gabriel Davis to
I
the
like
Jacksonville
this.
Jaguars.
You like this?
Well, so I think it's interesting. Not necessarily that I like it, but I know that Justice is shedding tears because he lost Calvin Ridley. But hopefully it's some consolation that he gets Gabe Davis. But can he replace Ridley? Probably not. But the thing about Gabe Davis is he's such a streaky player. Me and Jared were talking about this earlier. Like, if you're playing Gabe Davis in fantasy, he could have like 70 points because he'll have 7 catches for 700 yards and 3 touchdowns. In the next 3 weeks, he'll have like 4 catches for 3 yards.
Like twice a year, he's putting up 130 receiving yards and like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right. He's just such a streaky player. I don't think he'll ever be a number 1 receiver just because, like in Buffalo, he was always overshadowed by Stephon Diggs, and he's never even gotten to 1,000 yards in a season. So I think that there is some potential there. He's a good complement receiver, I think, but he's not the number 1 guy that Calvin Ridley was. So we'll see how it works for the Jags. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see at the very least.
Former UCF alumno. Go Knights.
Yeah, go Knights. We love Gabriel Davis. Gabriel Davis is the best. He was great with Buffalo. We'll see how he plays in Jacksonville. But apparently Jacksonville has some kind of a fetish for signing like second wide receiver twos, you know? Christian Kirk, Zay Jones.
If they're looking for
Even
like
Calvin Ridley was too.
Yeah,
if they're looking for like number 2
those things.
receivers,
But
they
let's
run
run
the
through real
market.
quick the offensive line signings and what we think about. I already touched on it, so I'll just briefly mention it. I was mentioning Tyron Smith getting signed to the New York Jets. Like I said, I love the move. You give Aaron Rodgers a lot of help, and I think the front office said, "Hey, buddy, you know, you may be a cat, but you already lost 80 of your lives. You only got 1 left. We're going to put everything into making sure you are protected this year." He was one of many offensive lineman signings I think were fantastic. So that was a great signing in my opinion. They got him for decently cheap on a 1-year deal. Moving forward, though, Tyler Biadasz is on Washington. Interesting. $10 million a year. What do you think of it, John?
I like it because it gives whoever the quarterback they're going to draft a little bit more help. Somehow the Commanders had the most cap space in NFL history and then signed the most like mid-roster ever. But I did like Biadasz coming in. He's a Pro Bowler in 22. It was solid last year. He's a solid above-average center. Nothing great, but good signing for Washington.
Agreed. I think you can perfectly sum up their offseason by the fact that they lost Sam Howell, they lost Jacoby Brissett, and in return they brought back Marcus Mariota. And moving forward, Jared Fox, the last pick of this segment, Jermaine
I'll say it. Illuminor.
Illuminor.
So I went with Jermaine or Illuminor. It's definitely an underrated pick. He played the past couple of years on the Raiders. He started every game the past 2 years. So that's really what you want to see. Obviously, you want to see good pass blocking, good run blocking, but as long as you're consistent, you're on the field and you're playing, that's really what you want to see. And this guy is a guy that can play guard and he can play tackle, which is really what the Giants need because Evan Neal, kind of a bust. So maybe he can play right tackle for them, which is where he's played the past couple years. But we've also seen him play guard, so we'll see what the Giants do there.
And briefly mentioning 3 other offensive lineman signings. We had Trent Brown go to Cincinnati. We had Robert Hunt go to Carolina on a mega deal. And then we had Jonah Jackson of the Lions head to L.A. and flip the Matthew Stafford kind of move.
He went with Jared Goff.
Yeah, he did go with Jared Goff. You think,
wait, no, he went with Matt Stafford.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to be moving on. Definitely not all the offensive signings. We covered maybe a third of the offensive signings that have happened, but these were the biggest ones that we could think of, the ones that we liked. Moving forward, though, we're going to try and cover all the defensive signings within 11 minutes in just another 30 seconds. So don't go anywhere because we'll be right back after this break.
Hello, my name is Tyler Brownrigg. I hope you're enjoying watching whatever show it is that's playing right now here on Hitting the Field Network. And if you're interested in more of our shows or want to know more about the one you're currently watching, don't worry, I'm here to tell you. Our week starts off on Mondays with HTF Bets, hosted by the Bets Boys, Andrew Montana, Ezra Hines, and Giovanni St. Cyrin. You can catch that show live Mondays at noon for all things betting in sports. I highly recommend it. And then you can follow it off on Tuesday with The Combine, hosted by the illustrious Ty Patton. If you're in for a more laid-back, kind of podcast-style show, a lot more casual, that is definitely the show for you. Maybe you'll catch some Ty Squared action with me on there. Wednesdays, every week, you'll be able to catch the vlog, learn about what's going on behind the scenes here in the studio at Hitting the Field, get to know more about us, especially the people behind the camera, who they are, and what we do to make these shows every week. And on Thursdays, live at noon, you can watch the main show with me as your host every Thursday, where we'll be covering all of the major storylines for any sport, be it football, basketball, hockey, soccer, you name it, we'll be talking about it on the main show. And then Friday, you can watch Nighttime, with your hosts, Maddie Glass and Patrick Previty, for all things college sports, especially with a focus on UCF sports and maybe the ones you haven't heard about so often, like tennis or women's track and field. It can be anything college on nighttime. And if you're interested in joining Hitting the Field and you're a UCF student, DM us on any of our social medias at Hitting the Field, and also give us a follow on all those, and subscribe to this channel if you want to catch more of our content. But enjoy the rest of your show. As always, I'm Tyler Brownrigg, and I'll be seeing you on Main Show.
Before we dive into the defensive signings, it's important to touch on 2 retirements that occurred over the offseason, the first of which being Leighton Vander Esch, the Wolf Hunter from the Dallas Cowboys. That was his nickname for a little bit. Apparently he hunted wolves in his backyard as a kid, which is a pretty sick thing to do, you know. Little, what was that? Little Jeffrey Dahmer in the making. But he decided, you know, that wasn't his career path. Instead, focusing on football and taking his talents to Dallas. Great career. I thought he had a great career. And the second one outshines him like crazy. Aaron Donald announces the retirement. Quarterbacks are a choice everywhere, you know. Every quarterback is happy about this retirement. It's fantastic. But now diving into the defensive signings, you know, they're very exciting. The first of which that we're going to be diving into, which, you know, I'm gonna force everyone in the studio to scramble for this graphic, but it's the best. Jordan Whitehead is back in Tampa Bay, baby. This is the best move of the offseason. What are we talking about? Tampa Bay's got the absolute bum, like, you know, living under the overpass, Ryan Neal, the worst safety in NFL history. This guy sucks. Like, he is horrible. I was surprised they didn't cut him after, like, week 5. Terrible, but they kept him all year. He continued to suck. He missed so many tackles. I can't tell you how many times I yelled his name, followed by a word that I can't say on stream at my television over the season. And we get rid of him and bring back Jordan Whitehead, who has been playing with the Jets for the past 2 years. He has not missed a game over the last 2 years, as far as I can remember. And he played with the Bucs in our Super Bowl season in 2020. You pair up Whitehead and Winfield once more. Fantastic signing. This is the best one that could be here. I think it was only $4.5 million per year. Great move. But, you know, that was one of the ones that maybe not be the best, but I needed to touch on. So moving forward, I want to throw this to Mr. Pat Previty. This is one that was, I think, kind of hidden, you know? Like it made a statement up front, but then I think everybody stopped talking about it. Patrick Queen is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. What do we think?
I think it's definitely one of the better signings, one of the more underrated signings, like you've said.
Yeah.
The Steelers have been looking for a good linebacker to kind of hold down the fort since Ryan Shazier essentially broke his spine, and I think, that is something that is crucial to a good defense. A few years ago, during Patrick Queen's rookie year, Mike Tomlin made a comment on the sideline whenever Queen just like kind of went out of bounds or whatever and like was on the Steelers sideline. He said something like, "You're not a Raven, like you shouldn't be here," all that other stuff. And Queen kind of took it to heart, and every time he played the Steelers, kind of had a chip on his shoulder a little bit. But Tomlin, he refused to like answer that, but he kind of was always, I think it meant you should be a Steeler. And it was kind of one of those things where I would love to have you on our side of the field. So I think that means a lot. And, you know, the Ravens weren't going to pick up his 5th-year option.
Yeah.
But I think that he's still a really good player. Sometimes whenever a team doesn't pick up the 5th-year options for some different reasons outside of a player being really good. I mean, he was 2nd-team All-Pro last year. So I think that this is a really good signing for the Steelers.
Yeah, and he replaces Devin Bush, who has not had too great of a career thus far. So great signing. You pair him with T.J. Watt and the defense that the Pittsburgh Steelers have built over there. It's diabolical for offense. This is the new Aaron Donald Rams, you know, per se.
And all you've heard, like since this signing, is these players gushing over Patrick Queen. They have the utmost respect for him. T.J. Watt has come out and said something. Mike Tomlin was already like, he didn't, you know, answer his little comments from 4 years ago, but he was saying he loves to have Patrick Queen in the building. I think that that's just so great.
Yeah.
Just in general for any player, but Patrick Queen moving from like one team in the division to another, and just that respect factor is so huge.
Yeah, especially when it's a middle linebacker. And it's almost your captain of your defense. You know, obviously we have some edge rushers that are captains of defenses, T.J. Watt being one of them. But when Patrick Queen steps into the room as a middle linebacker, I think this guy's going to control the defense. And I think him and Mike Tomlin have something going. You know, I think it's going to work very, very well for him. Ben Huber, I want to throw to you. Thanks. I think the most lucrative safety deal in all of football right now, Xavier McKinney to the Green Bay Packers on a very expensive deal.
$67 million
over like 4 years.
That's
Lord have
That's a
mercy. He's
blockbuster
getting
right
like
there if I've
16,
ever seen
17
one.
million a year, something like that. What
crazy.
do you think of this? How is it going to play as well? Because I think they just lost Darnell Savage as well.
I think it's a great signing. You're replacing Darnell Savage with an even better safety.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of the stats, I mean, Xavier McKinney is a dog in pass coverage. I mean, he can hold down the back end of that defense. It also opens up more opportunities for them to send pressure, just send the house at the quarterback. Xavier McKinney is back there. He's not going to let anything up. And he's also got one of the longest active starting streaks for safeties, right above Darnell Savage, actually. So he's just reliable, will play every snap, and just be that guy at the center of the field.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic move in and of itself, just everything there. I think this is going to be great for the Green Bay Packers. You pair him with a secondary room that's been kind of trash over the past couple of years. They're not horrible, but Jair Alexander is not the same guy he was. They traded, I forget his name, to the Buffalo Bills. Cornerback 2 that was really, really good like a year ago. I don't remember. But anyways, they traded him.
They got Eric Stokes. They do
have Eric Stokes.
quick.
He's solid.
But
But
Alexander's got a little bit of CTE going.
he does.
The whole
But
coin toss thing last year.
I'm going to mention possibly the, I don't want to say most lucrative deal, but I think it was the most lucrative deal per year. Danielle Hunter goes to the Houston Texans, and he's replacing Jonathan Grenard, who wound up on the Vikings. I just wanted to mention that because I don't think we're going to be talking about him. But Danielle Hunter is a huge move, in my opinion. You bring in a guy who at one point led the NFL this year in sacks. He finished, I think, 5th with 16.5 sacks on the year. In a Vikings defense with Zadarius Smith, I believe. No, they replaced him. Whoever it was actually
It's
pretty
so
good.
tough to keep track.
It is so. It's moving around like crazy. But Danielle Hunter was arguably one of the best edge rushers in the NFL last year. And all of a sudden you give him to Houston, who's made a lot of great signings this year. Azeez Al-Shaair also went there, who I wanted to briefly mention as well. I thought that was a great signing. But Danielle Hunter's getting 2 years, $49 million, close to $25 million a year to play with Houston. And this team is, over the span of 1.5 technically seasons right now, they have put together one of the best rosters in the NFL, in my opinion. C.J. Stroud has a very, very good year coming ahead of him. But moving off of that, I do love the signing, though. I would give that like a solid A+. I think it was fantastic. Moving forward, Mr. Ben, you also have a move that I wasn't expecting us to talk about.
Yeah.
Bryce Huff to the Eagles.
Bryce Huff, man, I love that guy. He's a sack machine. Pause, but he can absolutely get to the quarterback, and I mean he's just great. He has the highest pressure percentage, 25.7. He can get there every play. I mean the Eagles need that. They got remind me of his name.
Fletcher Cox.
The guy coming off the edge for
Fletcher Cox.
That might be Fletcher Cox.
No, he's talking about Hassan
Reddick.
Hassan
There you
Reddick,
go.
yes. Yeah.
Pair alongside Hassan Reddick. That defensive line is gonna be scary.
That's the thing. Their defensive line is always so scary. Every year
Yeah.
they make a move, and every year it's
first half of the
so
season.
diabolical. Last year was Jalen Carter. Now it's Bryce Huff.
They just
Like,
need to hold it together second half of the season. They can't collapse like they did this year.
yeah,
I mean,
keep
like,
everything together.
Yeah, keep everything together. Hopefully Nick Sirianni doesn't do the typical Nick Sirianni thing, but you know.
All right, and then I'm going to move into one that just happened very, very recently. It was, I believe, Saturday evening this deal went through. Eljarius Sneed, the cornerback for the Chiefs that was widely considered one of the best in the NFL towards the end of last season, winds up getting traded to the Tennessee Titans for a 7th-round pick this year and a 3rd-round pick next year, which I think is super-duper cheap.
Yeah.
But given that he was on the franchise tag and the Kansas City essentially lost all leverage in that trading situation, at least they're getting a 3rd next year. Arguably, they probably could have argued for a 3rd this year, but in the long run, I think it's a pretty fair deal considering he was on the tag. It kind of sucks for the Chiefs, but now you pair Eljarius Sneed with Chidobe Awuzie. Wow, best cornerback room in the NFL. No, I'm
All-time
just kidding.
name.
It sucks, man. The Tennessee Titans are making a lot of mid moves. All of a sudden, the new Chicago Bears are making actually fantastic moves. But moving over to Patrick Preverty once more. Christian Wilkins signs with the Las Vegas Raiders in arguably the second or maybe tied with the first most lucrative deal over the offseason. What do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, so he essentially earned this paycheck in 2022 when he had just a monster season all around, over 90 tackles, and he has just been a beast. Mostly, he's just such an anchor when it comes to this. When it came to the Dolphins defense, he was part of Oreo.
Zach Seiler.
Yeah, Zach Zeeler, and he just kind of has been really good. The Raiders have the 21st ranked rush defense, so I think he'll improve that. And alongside Max Crosby, I think they'll be able to stop the run a lot better than they did in 2023. So I like this signing for the Raiders. They obviously have a lot more to figure out, I think, offensively, but defensively, I think that they're stout, at least on the defensive line now.
Yeah, and Ben, one more that I want to talk about. Actually, let's throw both of these kind of conjoined. I want to go 1 and then 2. Ben, you're talking about Jordan Brooks.
Jordan Brooks.
The linebacker who winds up with Miami. And Pat Previty, you're talking about Jordan Poyer, the safety who wound up with Miami. What do we think of these moves? How good of a move is it, do you think? Because they were relatively cheap deals, especially Jordan Poyer's.
Jordan Brooks, I think, was a good deal just because we swapped linebackers with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Brooks is better in stopping the run, tackling. I think that's a good deal. How do you feel about Jordan Poyer?
Oh, yeah, Poyer is definitely a really good signing for the Dolphins. They just lost Brandon Jones in free agency. They needed another guy to go alongside Javon Holland and Jalen Ramsey. And he could be back next year. He could not be. It just depends on how he plays this year. I don't really think I think if they cut him, they don't really lose a ton if they do. So
yeah,
I
think Miami is having sneakily one of the best off seasons this year. They've had a great off season. Defensively, for sure, they brought in Jonnu Smith, which we hadn't mentioned yet. Great signing. So far, very sneaky, but they've been very good. I love what they're doing, and hopefully they have a good draft to complement it, but we'll wait and see for that. But that is all we have for the NFL free agency. A lot of big moves, potentially a lot more still to be made. Justin Simmons, Xavier Howard, Stephon Gilmore, all still on the board. Plenty of big names still to go around, but we'll see where they wind up, potentially covering them in another segment later on. But we're going to move on into, it's the Combine. Have we had 3 segments? Yeah. But, are we still going to have a game segment? Of course. We're the Combine. That's what we do. Like, you didn't pay. You came to watch the Combine knowing we were going to have a game show. We're going to have a game show. So don't go anywhere because we'll be right back after this with something a little bit fun Nick Cohen cooked up. So, Tyler Brownrigg. It says in my notes you're an Oklahoma fan.
That is correct.
So, let me ask you, bud. Is Texas back?
All right, I put on a brave face a lot, but this year, I'm really scared that they are, man. Okay, they just beat Alabama. They're gonna be top 4 in the rankings. And last year, they beat us 48-0.
Yeah.
It was humiliating. We're the Oklahoma Sooners. We were the best ever. We were talk of the town. We had Baker, Kyler, and Jalen 3 years in a row. And now, are we good? I don't know. We haven't won a national title since 2000. We're number 18, I think, and nothing matters, dude.
Sometimes we build up these walls thinking they're impenetrable. But sometimes you have to knock these walls down to build up bigger and stronger ones. And you got to be tough through that. It's hard being an Oklahoma fan at this time, but grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the hill, buddy.
Is it? I cannot live through a Texas national championship. I can't. I'll never recover.
Do you want to talk about Lincoln Riley?
What'd you just say to me?
I just want to know if you want to talk about Lincoln Riley.
You listen here, you court-ordered quack. You mentioned that.
Faces. And we are back. I was in the middle of thinking. I was thinking about something fun, especially given, I didn't mention this yet, Sydney Sweeney's new movie, Immaculate, comes out last week, so go see it. It's a great movie. Apparently, she produced it. Oh, God, I love Sydney Sweeney. But we're in game segment. It's the best segment of the day, best time of the year. Snow is falling, rain is calling, and Ty Patton's back to yapping. So we're playing a game called Dudes Naming Dudes, and the dudes that we have to name dudes are the dudes Ezra Hines and Ben Huber, who's back again from segment 3. Ben Huber, how does it feel to be in the chair for more than one segment?
Oh, it feels great, I must say. First time on Combine. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, it's the best. I appreciate having you. And Ezra Hines, a Combine regular, is like the best of the best of the best, sir. Little Men in Black action, little Will Smith action, Like, you remember that scene from me? Anyways, we're moving on. It's dudes naming dudes. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to throw a picture up on the wall back here of a current NFL free agent. As soon as that picture hits that screen, these guys are going to rattle off a guess as to who it is. They are all current free agents, so not signed, current free agents.
Okay. Current free agents, okay.
Once you rat off your guess, we're going to see how likely it is that we know dudes looking at dudes.
I cannot wait
so,
for this, dude.
Yeah, Nick Cohen has been on a roll. This is like the second week in a row that he's thrown out like some absolute heat for game segments. So shout out Nick Cohen, the best of the best, There's the first one. Who is it? Actually, I have no idea.
God.
It looks like Austin Eckler, but I don't think it is.
No,
It's
that's
definitely not Austin Eckler.
Oh, God. I have no idea who that is.
Who am I looking at right now?
I don't even know what position he can possibly play.
He's wearing a 27. I imagine he's a DB of some sort, but I have no idea who it is. Who is it?
I have no idea.
That's y'all's cue in the back. I don't think anybody has any guesses on this one. This is a tough one.
That's Justin Simmons?
I did not know what college he came
Is that,
from.
that
I'm
Boston
sorry.
College?
It looks like Boston College.
Yeah.
It's ACC.
Wow. I
Yeah,
wouldn't have got
Boston
that.
College.
Wow. Okay, this is going to go a lot worse than I
Come
thought.
on, Nick
Yeah.
Cohen.
Oh, my
This is
God.
rough.
No, Justin Simmons is such an easy get. I can't believe I didn't just guess that.
Oh,
Okay.
like
Lord
him,
have
though.
mercy.
All
All right,
right.
next one.
Zeke.
That's not Zeke.
That's not Zeke.
Who do you think it is? Oh, actually,
Is it not?
it was Zeke. Look at
Come
him,
on,
Ben
you
Huber.
doubted me.
Oh, Ben Huber's cooking.
Oh, God.
Ezra Hines is in
I'm
disbelief.
washed.
Throw up the next one.
I'm washed.
Who is it?
Jadavion Clowney.
Yeah, that is.
Ben Huber's cooking.
Dude,
It was
I'm
Devin Clowney.
washed.
The only reason I know that jersey is from that one
That clip.
hit. Yeah, the clip
That
where he
was
put the
crazy.
note card in between. Devin Clowney said, "No, sir." A little waved his finger in front of him. Who is it?
Jamal Adams.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Jordan Whitehead because the New York Jets. I was so
I
excited.
don't know if it's because I can't see it right away, but I'm
Yeah, I
all
can
for
lean
it.
back
No,
for it.
you're
Ben
fine.
Huber's
You're fine.
cooking. Out of 4, he's got 3. Ezra's got none.
I got
I
lock
can
in.
name some dudes.
Throw up the next. Oh, oh, I know who
Leonard
this is.
Fournette.
No, I know who it is.
Frank
Who
Gore?
is this, bro?
I think it's Tyron Smith. Is it
no
Tyron
way.
Smith?
No, Tyron Smith is signed. He's not a current free agent.
I'm locking in Frank Gore.
Frank Gore.
Who is it?
That's
J.K. Dobbins? Oh, he's wearing 22.
Dude,
I should
I'm
have seen that.
washed.
That's wild.
This is really bad. This is a really bad showing for me.
Who let Nick Cohen
Michael
cook?
Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude.
that's Michael Thomas.
Dude,
Oh my God.
I am straight passenger right now.
I am
That's
simply,
Michael
I am
Thomas,
simply
yeah.
riding shotgun to Nick Cohen.
I'm riding.
driving
I'm in
off
the
of
trunk
bridge.
right now.
You're in the chair. You're in the hotel chair right now.
Throw up the next one.
Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah. Oh, I actually had that one too.
It is Hunter Renfrow, isn't it, gentlemen?
Yes, it is. That's absolutely Hunter
And ladies?
Renfrow.
I didn't know you could catch like that.
You're supposed to go right there. Yeah, Hunter Renfrow.
I should really
All right,
have
it's
known
time
he
to
was a
cook.
free
It's time
agent.
to cook. I'm gathering together. Eddie Jackson.
Yeah. That's gotta be.
Is that Eddie Jackson? That's Eddie
I
Jackson.
don't think so. It is.
Oh,
I was
I'm back.
wrong.
I'm back.
I was even wearing single digits.
I'm so back. I haven't even looked at these graphics, by the way. I have them in front of me, but I haven't opened a single one yet. Show me the next one. Let me cook. Carson Wentz. Let me cook. I'm right back in this thing. You got like 5. I'm about to cook. Show me Carson Wentz.
I
It's
just
Carson
want
Wentz.
one, bro. I just want one.
Fire it off. Adoree Jackson?
Yeah. That's Jadori Jackson.
Sure.
Oh my God, no. Ooh, ooh. I'm an animal. I'm a deviant.
Dude.
Throw up the next one. I'm Oscar the Grouch. I live in a trash can. Where's the next one?
Calais
Ooh.
Campbell.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Dude, I know
Saxonville.
all of these. I just can't get it out in
Saxonville.
Did
time.
we shout out BDGE yet?
Oh yeah, shout out
Oh,
BDGE.
yeah, shout out
They are.
BDGE,
This
yeah.
is a phenomenal game. I love
Yeah,
this game.
they have it up on their TikTok, YouTube, all that. They're great. Nick Cohen came and, wait a minute, he stole the idea. He didn't come up with it. Nick Cohen lied. He committed insurance theft.
Oh.
I have a guess, but it's a really bad guess.
It's not CJ Gardner Johnson. That was.
I was gonna guess Amir Abdullah.
No, it's not a new.
I'm
trying to think
Quandre
of 28.
Diggs.
Ooh.
It might be
That
Quandre
might be
Diggs.
Quandre
Is it Quandre
Diggs?
Diggs?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good ball. Good
My
pull.
immediate thought was Amir Abdullah.
So you got like 6, I got 3, Ezra's got 0.
Yeah.
We gotta cook, I gotta catch up. Throw up the
Amir
next one. I
Abdullah.
hope we have more. Oh, Baylor?
Baylor.
Who is from Baylor? Current free agent?
I have no idea.
Number 18, I want to say he's a receiver.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm stumped here.
That's not, no, it's not. I was gonna start throwing out DBs.
The one and only Javon Baker.
That's
It
Xavier
is again. Oh
Howard?
my God, let me cook. Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, that's Xavier
I,
Howard.
I
right
really
there.
need to know
That's him.
what colleges these players came from, because that's throwing
Somebody
me
throw
heavily.
some water on me. I'm on fire.
Is that
Stephon Gilmore.
Gilmore? Yeah.
That's Stephon Gilmore.
Can't
yeah.
stop this train, man. It's already left the station. I got 5. Let me cook.
Oh, no, Beckham.
Jay.
Let's go! I got one! I got one!
There you go.
I got one. That's all I care about. I can sit back for the rest of the game and let y'all battle. I don't care. I don't care. Have fun, boys.
I need one more. I need to tie. Ooh,
Tom Brady.
God, my sweet king. I say we tied on that. You get
Pookie
7,
there.
I get 6.
All right.
Yeah, we kind of yelled off at the same time.
I mean, in technicality, he is a free agent, I
Technically,
guess.
he is, I guess.
Do we have, please tell me we have another one. I need to catch up here. I need one more.
Ryan
Ryan,
Tannehill.
yeah.
Oh, wait, who is it?
That's Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, it is Ryan Tannehill.
He played wide
We
receiver
saw
in
that
college.
one pre-segment.
No, don't say that. I'm joking. Because that makes
8-6.
me look worse. I've been waiting on that one this entire time.
I know we're running out of them, too. Ooh,
Bo Melton?
Dontavian Wicks?
No.
I think it's Bo Melton.
No. I have no idea.
No,
Greg
no,
Jennings.
I was thinking him too. By the way.
Greg? I.
No, it's not Greg
Dontavian
Jennings.
Wicks,
I
I
was-
know wears 80 something.
Yeah, I think he's 13.
Oh, MVS.
I don't remember him as a
MVS.
Packer at
MVS.
all.
He was a Packer before
I
he was
saw
a
him
Chief.
wearing 83.
I don't either.
I saw he had a long last name on his back. And that's what was throwing me.
Ooh.
That's no.
It almost looked like Tyler Biadasz for a second.
Yeah, that's
when
what
he
I was
signed.
thinking.
Unless, no, Tyler Biadasz wore, did he?
He wore a higher
52,
number.
didn't he?
He wore a higher number than
No,
that.
Tyler
surely.
Biadasz didn't.
Sure he did.
Oh, unless it's Tyler Smith. I don't.
Connor
Williams.
Again,
I forgot about
Yeah.
that. I
Don't
forgot he
remember-
was a Cowboy.
don't remember him on the Cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We gotta cook. I'm slipping here. I'm slipping.
Is that Micah Hyde?
God,
Dude,
it might be.
dude, I
That'd
think
be
that's
a
Micah
great
Hyde.
pull.
Yeah, that's Micah Hyde.
Oh my God, that
Wow.
is a fantastic one.
And that was
That was a good
I think that was the last one, right? That
I
was,
think it was the last one.
that was
Somebody in studio, hold up a
that was
thumbs
the
up.
last
We got
one,
one more.
right? One more?
One more.
Okay, run it.
Dude.
Tyler Boyd. I got 2, baby. I got 2, baby.
God darn it. So what? 9, 6, 2.
I don't even care.
Something like
I'll take
that.
my 2. I'll take my 2. That was fun. That was
Oh
really
my
fun.
God! I don't think
That was a fun one.
I haven't yelled at a TV screen that much since Ryan Neal was a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That guy sucks.
Dude, we're ripping Ryan Neal today.
Yeah, hey, we are ripping Ryan Neal.
No shot,
Ryan
honestly.
Neal does not get enough hate. I'm going to advocate for it. Start a petition. Get Ryan Neal out of town. You find out where that guy lives. Show up with pitchforks. You know how the deal goes. Don't let him cross the street in Tampa Bay. Anyways, he's out of there. Tampa Bay's made great signings. We love the moves. We're going to win the Super Bowl. Baker Mayfield's back. Mike Evans is back. I'm doing a lot of yapping. I know Nick Cohen. I don't care. I'm going to yap all I want. We're Americans. We're allowed to yap. I'm going to get up today. I woke up and had my coffee and said, you know what? I'm going to start yapping. And nobody can tell me
America
different
runs
because
on-
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the